Here are 3 automations that you can get started with when launching your own agency. And the great thing about these automations is that you can sell them for monthly retainers from anywhere between $500 to $1,500 a month. How do I know this? I'm doing it. The first automation is super easy, and this is a meta ad creatives generator. So the way this works is, imagine you have a client that has product images, but what they want is modeling images. They want models to hold those images and showcase those images, okay? So what you can do with this automation is you can plug into the chat prompt here, you can put in a quick prompt, you can upload the image, and then this AI agent here will create the prompt, and it will actually create an image for you using OpenAI's GPT image creator, okay? And then I'll show you what the input looks like. So I just found an Apple Watch with no background. This is literally a quick Google search. Didn't spend that long doing it. And then the output is this here. So if I go inside of here, this is what the OpenAI image GPT has created for me, okay? And the prompt was this here. So create an image of a male model wearing this watch. That's it, very, very simple. Now, obviously in a production environment, if you're working for clients, you would give it as much details as possible. The first node that you need to trigger this is a chat trigger. So if I just click inside of here, the only thing you need to do is just make sure that the option to allow file uploads has been enabled, okay? That will let you attach images. The next node is the upload image node with Google Drive. So if I click inside of here, just connect it up to your Google Drive account. The operation is obviously upload. The input is whatever this file name is, okay? So by default, this should be data 0, but just map whatever the name is, okay? It should already be populated for you. And then the file name, I've just called it image, you can call it whatever you want. And obviously just select where you want to save this on your Google Drive. The next node is an AI agent node. So if I click inside of here, I've got a define below prompt, and this is basically taking the input from the first node, which is the chat window, okay? And so you can see here, it's just a chat input. And then for the system message, because every AI agent needs a system prompt. So I put in here, it's a little bit big, but it's basically this kind of prompt, and what it says is you're an ad expert for a creative assistance specialized in generating Meta, Facebook, and Instagram ad image concepts. Now, again, you can put any context in here that you want. I've just done it for Meta. Your job is to take user provided inputs and generate highly effective visual prompts. So this is not creating the image, we're creating the image prompt, okay? We're using AI to optimize it for us, okay? And then I've given it some outputs. So this is like just an example. AIs work really well, language models work really well when you give them an example, so I generally give them 1 or 2. And then do not include any other text, explanation, or formatting. This is very important because we're gonna send that prompt that's been generated by this AI agent into OpenAI's image modeling, okay? So test it, and then you'll see this, right? You'll see the image prompt. And it's more expansive, right? It's added a lot more descriptions and made it more comprehensive versus what I typed into it. Again, that's the beauty of AI, right? You just need to give it some basic inputs, and then the output will be even better. Then obviously connect it up to a chat model. I'm using OpenAI for this, and the version is 4.1 mini, which is very affordable. And then you just need a simple memory for the context, and the window I've left it at is 5. And then for the key, you just grab in the chat message field here, okay? And then obviously test it, save it. The next node is going to be the download image node. So now that we've uploaded it, we need to download the image, okay? So just click inside of here, and it's just going to be a file download. And then for the ID, we're just going to get the user ID because we already have it here, right? From the upload node. So just grab this, paste that over here, and then you'll be able to see it here, which is the same image that I've uploaded, okay? And then the next node is a HTTP request node. So if I click inside of here, this is the node that will create the image, okay? So it's a post method. This is the URL and the endpoint, which is edits within OpenAI. You need some credentials here, so create a credential, preferential credential type. I've called mine OpenAI, and it's called OpenAI, okay? And so basically, it's just the OpenAI connection that you should have with when you created other AI automations, okay? And then you want to toggle on send body. This time it's a form data because we're sending a file type, okay? So the body content is form data, the parameters form data, and then the prompt is just whatever was outputted on the AI agent node, okay? Which is this one here, right? You just take the output and then paste that here. And then we need a few more parameters because this is what OpenAI requires. So the first one is the binary file. The image is image, and then the square bracket open and close. And then input data field name is data because that's what it's called, right? If we go back to the table view, if you go to download images, it's called data, right? And then the last parameter is form data. This is the model because we're going to select the model. So type your model here, and then we're using the latest GPT image 1, right? Which is the latest one that they've released. And then when you see it here, it'll basically show you the output, okay? And then what you'll see is basically the image is in a base64 file format, okay, which is a long string of letters and numbers, which is obviously not very good for us. So what we need to do is we need to convert to file node, which is this one here. And then if I put it into JSON, you might be able to see it. Let me just see show data. Well, let's go to schema. Yeah, it's here. So this is the output, right? Which is what OpenAI and most language models will output as, right? But obviously it's not good to us. We can't do anything with this. And it's a B64 JSON. So what we need to do is we need to convert that into a file. So the input is just grab this, right? The output is data. You can call it whatever you want. I've just left that data. When you test a step, you can view it, right? And that's the output. Okay, and then the last file is just save it. So it's just saved onto Google Drive, or you can save it onto Google Sheets or Airtable or whatever, right? For this example, I just want to show you in Google Drive because it's super easy to use inside of N8N. The operation is upload. The file name is data. I've called it new image, and I've just selected the location. The second automation is a YouTube sniper agent. And what this does is you can use this automation to find viral videos or new videos that are getting great traction, and you can do it completely automated, completely free of charge using YouTube's API, okay? And the way this works is that it will use a keyword. So for me, it's N8N or automations. It grabs the data. It then filters the data because I only want the best videos, okay? So initially it'll basically scrape, as you can see here, almost 560 videos, but those 560 videos are not all relevant, right? I want to filter down. And so that's what this does. It will then update a Google Sheet, and then it will basically find the undisputed champ. And then with this video research agent, it will actually review the video and tell me what's good about it, right? And actually give me an output that I can then use to basically, if I was to clone that video, I could add a different angle to it or spin to it. And the AI agent is actually telling me this. So if I go into Slack, which is the output, you can see here, these are all the videos that I just ran just now before recording this part of the section of the video here, okay? And you can see that it actually gives me a top video of the week. It gives me a link to view ratio, which is pretty high, considering, you know, these videos have only been launched in the last week or so. So they're getting really good traction. And this is something that you can sell to creators or, you know, agencies, anybody that's interested in content creation. So the first node is a schedule trigger node, and I usually schedule this for Sunday night to basically run around midnight. And what it will do is it will get content for me that's ready for Monday, and I can plan the rest of my week, okay? The next node is going to be a video node. So what you want to do is you want to get a YouTube node, and then the operation is to get many, okay? And we're going to return all for this one. And for the string that I'm using here, this is published after, and I'm using a string here to basically say that I only want videos that have been uploaded in the last 7 days, okay? Because I want content that's very relevant for me. And this is the way to do it. I mean, there is content that's, you know, viral like 6 months ago or a year ago, but I don't think it's necessarily going to be viral now if I upload that, right? So it's better to stick to content that's, you know, relevant, but also trending and has been uploaded recently. And then for the query, I've just put N8N in this example. The region code is the United States. And then for options, in order, I put relevance, and then safe search, I've just put moderate. Again, this is just a consideration if you have clients that are, you know, working in sensitive industries. You don't want any kind of profanity or anything like that to come back in the search, okay? The next node is going to be a grab data node, and this is just a HTTP request. So the function is get. This is the endpoint. It's the Google API for YouTube, which is videos. And then you want to send the query parameters, if I say it, you will toggle that on. And then you want to use the below fields, okay? So the first one is the key, and this is your API key from inside of Google Cloud. There's a video I've created on that if you're not sure how to do that, but it's pretty straightforward. Then the next parameter is part, and then the value is snippet and statistics. This is just parameters that we need to send to YouTube if you want to get these, you know, if you want to pull this data off their API, yeah? And then the last one is ID. And then for this, you just want to grab the video ID, from the previous node, which is grab videos, and it's just a video ID here, okay? And then everything else, you just leave it as it is. And then when you test it, you'll see this output here, and it's got a lot of cool descriptions here. It's actually really interesting to do it this way versus something like scraping that I normally do through tools like Amplify, because you get a lot of the metadata that you don't normally see on the surface level. Then the next node you want is a code node, and the reason I put this in there is because I want to filter my results by just by the English language, because a lot of the results, especially in my industry, which is automations, AI, there's a lot of content that's not in English, right? Because it's trending. There's other regions like non-native speaking countries that it's generally less competition and it's easier to rank in those countries. Okay, so this is just a bit of code, JavaScript that I put in there, and there's no other way to do it without code, right? And this isn't 100%, but it kind of captures about 90% of the results that are not in English. Okay, and then when you run it, you'll see an output like this. And then after that, I've got another node, which is a key node, code node. And for this, I'm just going to grab key metrics. If I go inside of here, basically what I want to do is I want to grab like rate, comment rate, and videos per hour, and a few other metrics, okay? And you'll see why, right? So it's views, likes, comments, like rate, comment rate, views per hour. That's what I want, okay? And you'll see this in the output here. And this is important because I'm going to use these metrics to basically filter it, okay? So if I then go to the next node, this one here is now going to do a condition, right? So we're going to look at this. So now that we've extracted the key metrics, what we want to do is I want to get the views. So this one here is greater than 2000. That's just my condition. You can have it at 1500 or 1000 or whatever, right? So I've set the first condition is views greater than 1000. The next one is the like rate is greater than 0.04. Now this one is a bit subjective because the higher that you have it, the less results you're going to get. So this is something that you're going to have to play around with. Now again, if you look at it, the branches here, there's only 32 items out of the 560 odd that are going to meet my condition, and I'm being very aggressive in this, right? But you might not want to be as aggressive, so play around with this value, okay? And the last condition that I have is comment rate is greater than 0.003. So then you'll see these values here, okay? When you test it, and I only want to return the true values. Okay, so if you look at it, from 558 items went into this node, and only how many came out? 32, right? Yeah, 32 items left, which is a huge number to basically remove. Okay, and then I've got a update sheet here node. I mean, you don't necessarily need this. It's just basically a Google sheet, and I'll show you what it looks like. It just updates it with results. Okay, so it's just ideas and suggestions and just like a database of content, right, that you might want to review later. And all this does is this is an append row on the sheet. I'm selecting the document and the sheet, and I'm going to map in each row manually. So I've got the video ID, the channel title, the video title, the video URL, published at, views, likes, comments, like rate, comment rate, views per hour, description. And again, these are just mapped from the previous node, right, from the grab data node. And you're going to see the outputs here. Now you might want to implement something like this for clients if they've got like an Airtable or Google Sheet like this. Then you can give them ideas, right? So all you would share with them is the input and the output, right? The actual automation inside of NA10, you can keep that under the hood, and you can charge the retainer for that. And then the last node here, this next node, is basically to find the undisputed champ, okay? So what I'm saying is I only want the videos with the views per hour, which is greater than 100, okay? So you've got the views per hour here. Now I'm only going to look at the ones that have greater than 100, so I'm being even more aggressive now, and the output's only 7. Okay, from 25 it's whittled down to 7. And so now you should have the top 7 videos out of the 558, okay, based on these metrics that I've grabbed in the key metrics node, okay? And the next node is a video research agent, and this is just an AI agent. You want to connect it up to a chat model, so I'm using Forum Mini for this. You can use DeepSeek or whatever you want. And then if I just click inside of the AI agent, you're going to see that I've defined the prompt. So I've got title, which is just title. I've got description, which is video description, video URL, which is the URL, like rate, which is the like rate, today's date, which is the JSON added date. It's in one of these here. And then for the chat messages, right, if you're using chat model, you want to add a system prompt, okay, and it's this one here, okay. So you are a YouTube specialist with deep expertise in content trends, audience engagement, and video optimization. Your goal is to analyze a selected video and generate a structured, insightful response to help creators refine their approach and develop unique content inspired by it. So the output I showed you in Slack, that's what this agent is creating, okay? And so this is the kind of template. Hey Sanj, here's your video inspiration for today's date. And then it will give you a top video of the week. It'll give you a title, the video link, the link to view ratio, which is one of my main metrics. What makes this video successful? How can you adapt this for your content? So again, this is very customizable. It doesn't have to be NA-to-N or automations or AI. You can use this for any industry, okay, or any creator. And then when you test that, you'll see this output here. And then the last step is you can then output this to wherever you want. So for the purposes of this video, I showed it to you in Slack, so I can show it to you. But in a production environment with clients, you can send it as an email. You can upload it back into Airtable or Google Sheets, or you can do whatever you want with this, okay? You can even send it back to their Slack if you're in a shared Slack group. It is an AI chatbot for any website, okay? This is a great service that you can cold contact businesses and implement quite easily, okay? So the way this works is that in this example, I've created a fictional car rental place, and I'm gonna be a user on the website. And what I want to do is I want to pick up my car. Okay, so if I open up the chat, you'll see the output here. In fact, it's this one here. And so, hi, I'd like to pick up my car. And then the AI agent is actually going through the conversation, okay? So then I put my name, my telephone number, and then the last question was, when would you like to pick the car up, right? So I said 9 a.m., 23rd of May. That's now been confirmed. And the way it does it is that it will actually look at my calendar. So if I was the client, it would actually look at my calendar to see if there is an availability for this customer to go pick up their car rental at 9 a.m. on May 23rd. If it is, then it will actually lock it in and then update the calendar with a slot to say, yeah, you can go, we've confirmed that you can come pick it up on 9 a.m. on May 23rd, okay? And then it basically asks for an email address. You can do whatever with that you want, right? I've not added it in this example, but you could actually just send them an email as well to confirm the booking, and you can do it all through the AI agent, okay? So now you can see your Sanj, your car rental pickup appointment is confirmed for May 23rd. If you need anything else or you have any questions, just let me know. Look forward to seeing you then. Okay, so you can see here the entire process. It's gone through the AI agent, it's used the chat model, it's actually updated the calendar. So it's now put in 9 a.m. 23rd of May, and then it's used the chat model again to respond back to the user. And so the way you would implement this is if you go back into the chat model here, the chat node, you can actually make this chat public, and then you can embed this, right? So you see this option here, you can actually embed it. And there's some option, basically if you follow the instructions here, if you just click this, it'll show you exactly how you can embed it. Right, so it just gives you some code that you can put onto a website, which is, or you can use a webhook as well. You can do it that way. It's this stuff here, and there's other bits and pieces you can do as well, right? You can change the greeting, you can change the font. It's all on this page here. So you can see here, you can change the padding, the second shade, the colors, the borders, everything, right? And it's all on here. You can see that it's added the car rental pickup in this test Google Calendar, and if I click inside of here, it's got all the details that I inputted into the chat. So the way to build this is you want a chat node as the trigger, and you can make this chat public if you want to sell this to clients, okay? So which is probably what you want to do, but you can certainly test it in a private sandbox environment first, okay? Then the next node you want after that is the AI agent node. So if I click inside of here, you'll see what this does. It's connected to the chat trigger, which is the previous node, and the input is going to be the chat input, so whatever I type inside of here, okay? And then there's a system prompt, and so the system prompt is, you're Felicia, the friendly casual chatbot for Bob's Car Rentals website. Right now the website or the business will be whatever your client's business or whoever you're going to sell it to or pitch it to. The main thing is you want to add today's date, which is this function here, okay? It will just add today's date, and that's important because you have some context of when you want to schedule the pickups or appointments or whatever it is, okay? How you work: start with, hey, I'm Felicia at Bob's Car Rental, then proceed with the conversation. Collect key details before booking: name, phone number, preferred date and time, Singapore time. This would obviously be in your client's time zone and their preferred inputs. And then check the calendar before confirming. This is important, right? because you don't want to double book somebody. If it's like a dentist or a doctor or something like that, right? You want to make sure that they all have a slot each. You don't want to overbook it because it's not very professional, right? And so if the user slot is available, lock it in. If it's taken, suggest the closest free slots, and the AI agent will do this, right? Because it's got access to both, it's got access to calendar. And then you never override any bookings, stay focused on the booking. If the conversation drifts, generally bring it back. Remember, this is an AI agent. This is a language model. It can talk about anything that you want it to talk about, okay? Which is why it's important you put some guardrails in here. Example, that's interesting. By the way, let's lock in a time for your pickup. So I'm giving an example: be warm and efficient, no corporate jargon, just casual, clear, and friendly. This will depend on the persona that your clients have, right? They might be more professional than this or more formal than this. That's totally fine. Keep the responses short and direct, no long walls of text. And the last thing is get the name, email, and confirm booking without scheduling conflicts. That's it. Now go make it happen. That's really it, okay? There's nothing else more to it. And then the last bit is, obviously we're going to need an AI model. So I've used ChatGPT 4 Mini, which is completely fine and very affordable for this. You need a Windows memory buffer as well. So I'm using a context window of 10 because I need a larger window purely because it's conversational. Okay, so I've given it 10. Again, this is very dependent on your scenario and how your clients want to work and what type of information, what type of conversation they're going to have, okay? Then the next two nodes are going to be the calendar nodes. So the first one you want to get is a check calendar node. So basically what you want to do is just go to Google Calendar. Okay, and you just want to get the availability, get all events. Okay, so click on this. And then the operation is get many. Okay, so this is a set automatic operation. And then the event, the resources event. The limit is 5. Now you can limit this to as many as you want. If you're probably gonna want to return all if you're going into production, or you can just let the parameter define the model define the parameter. Then I've done after the date and then before the date. Again, this is from the AI, so this will be based on the conversation, right? If you're not sure, just let the model define it, right? Based on the inputs and how the conversation goes, okay? And for the time zone, I live in Singapore, so I've just put in my time zone, but you would set this to your client's time zone, okay? Then once it's checked and everything is complete, you can then update the calendar. So now this is a create operation. So the last one was get many, right? So next you can duplicate it and just do create, okay? Again, connect up to correct calendar, and then the start date is from AI start date, which is a variable, and then end date is from AI end date, and then the attendees are going to be from the AI. So the AI will pull that from the conversation, and then the user email, which is the email that I gave it. And then the summary, you can put in a meeting summary. I mean, you don't really need this. This is always going to be a car rental pickup. If you have a business or client that has lots of services and it could be one of several things, then you might want to be a bit more descriptive in this part here, okay? And that's about it. That's 3 automations that you can go out there. You can sell to clients, launch your agency, and you can sell these for anywhere between $500 to $1,500 a month, okay? I'm doing it, other people are doing it. So go out there, get that money, launch your agency, and I'll see you on the next video. Take care.